Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining our AMA. We're a little late on giving our September update, so apologies to everybody on that. But here we are. I'm Ben. I'm one of the founders here and the CEO, and I lead our tech team.
Nate, you guys all know who I am.
Yeah,
well, at least most of you guys do. So we get to have Ben here though. So this is great. I don't have to talk at all.
They peeled me away from the keyboard and coding, so here to chat with everybody. So, the last month has been just a whirlwind of technical advancement. So, it's been pretty exciting, and we've been stress testing the network. I don't know how many people have noticed their boxes maybe getting a little bit warmer or using a little bit more internet. But at one point in the last month, we had over 10,000 Web3 nodes running on DeEEP Network as a stress test. So we were running a whole bunch of Gala nodes because we can spin up an infinite number of them, basically. And started just stress testing things. And we had some things break. Which was great. It taught us a lot about what we could and couldn't do with the network, and we ended up doing some patches to fix a bunch of bugs in that space, and then we've been upgrading a bunch of the DeEEP devices at the same time. So you might notice on your like if you plug your box into HDMI, it'll look a little bit different potentially now, showing some of the workloads that are going on. So that's all coming, and we've got 2 different test nets going right now. I think one of them has like 15 devices in it, and that is just doing like our engineering bare bones pieces. And then there's another testnet that's running about 600 devices coming. So all of that is pushing us towards running actual production workloads, which is coming within the next probably 2 weeks is the goal. So, and once we start being able to migrate those production workloads, those are the pieces that we all get to make money on, right? So we're migrating that off of existing infrastructure that we've been running, and I will start pushing everything over into running on the DeEEP network.
I'll do my stuff.
Yeah,
just answered Herman's question here. Just so everybody's on. Herman asked question is when will I be able to earn money with my box? Just like Ben said, as we migrate these workloads onto the devices themselves, and that's the earning potential for money coming into the DeEEP network is all those workloads that we're trying to put on there. So
yeah, and so that's coming. We're probably building one of the most secure edge computing networks in the world right now, and that has been on top of building all the Web3 pieces on it and getting all of the nodes running on it. So it's been quite a project, and I feel like we're finally getting to the point where everything's going to start running live here shortly. Bob's asking about how devices are chosen to host nodes. Right now, there's a couple different pieces. If a node requires a port to be open, like an internet port, every device every day is going through, or every hour actually, is going through and checking if it has access to open ports. So that is the same as how so basically the plugin rewards. It's the same checks that we're doing for plugin rewards. So if that port can be open, then that node is eligible to run. And beyond that, what we're doing is basically a randomization of the network randomly chooses a box to put a workload on. It will stay on that workload or on that box until that box is unable to run that node. For instance, it loses internet or power or something like that. Or something happens with that node and it needs to be, recycled, and then it'll get moved to a different box. So it's random beyond ports, and we are looking at doing. I think you guys all know that you can set the bandwidth. So the other piece is if we've used all the available bandwidth on that device, your device won't be able to run. So, but devices with more bandwidth have more opportunities to run more nodes.
Let's try this one here.
Yeah.
Will payment for the NerdNode workloads be payable in the DeEEP token at TGE soon after, or will it be more than a month after TGE? Thank you.
Yeah, still working on the final answer for this. The goal is that it'll be paid in the DeEEP token, but we're still lining up kind of when the TGE launch and the launch for running real workloads. The TGE launch is behind that. We've got some testnet pieces going on that right now, but there's we've got a pretty complicated tokenomics.
It's a lot. So to explain it with a lot of people here, they just think mostly it's a token. You're just having a token that's out there and it's magically usable and whatnot. But there's a lot more that's going into the integration of the DeEEP token within the DeEEP network itself, right? So the network that's running workloads and the token itself, they're intermingled. They are connected at levels that takes a lot more development time, both on the actual back end node running side or workload running side and on the actual token side. So it's not just purely a token like an ERC20 that you can just go mint, or a token on Solana you can mint on Pump.fun. There's a lot more that goes into these things. So
yeah, so there were some new changes that came into AVAX recently that actually allow us to use the hardware encryption chips on the DeEEP devices as embedded wallets on them. So we're doing a system that will sponsor gas effectively through that. All of the wallets that are held in your own personal wallets, that whether they're through the privy setup or one you chose, that'll hold an NFT. All of that'll flow through, and we're trying to make it so that gas automatically comes out of that without a user intervention. So that's been a more complicated piece on the token launch pieces, and we have a whole flow, and the device makes it fairly complicated because of that. And we're trying to get the device to actually be on chain. We want you guys to be able to see everything that's happening in the network on chain eventually. And that has taken us a bit of time to get implemented, and it's been a little harder than I think we expected to get there. Okay. But I think ultimately we're going to have a very reliable network because of it. And I'm excited that the way we give out rewards and the way you guys can audit all that will be on chain, right? That's the part when I look at a lot of projects that we've been doing over the years. You don't know, you get these magic points and mystery boxes or different things like that, and it's not on chain. And so we've been really working to solve a lot of that.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations with different companies, different potential partners, and you realize that not a lot of people are really building things. Like they're building like an idea of what's going on, and it takes a lot to get that out there. One of the other things that's making it difficult, but the roadmap's a little clearer, is regulations. That's another reason why we want everything on chain. The device itself, everything that it's doing is verifiable and on chain, because we want to fall into that line of being a commodity. And so there's a lot that's kind of been pushed along, waiting for some actual finalization of these regulations that are coming through. And we have some pretty good guidelines right now that's out there. It's looking like once, maybe if the government, they open back up at some point in time, who knows, we might actually get something to get pushed through. But I think we've got a better feel and guideline for at least how we want to go about it. And then also like amnesty periods that they're giving out there. So if you're doing the right thing, trying to do the right thing, they're going to, give you time to make sure that you finish that product. So,
yeah. Yeah, we originally built tokenomics around the FIT21 proposed legislation, which was under the Biden era. And we've been working to update everything for the Clarity Act now. And so there'll be a couple changes that I think we'll put forward to a vote here soon in order to make sure we're compliant with that. But we're hoping that the dust will settle there a little bit before we push that out. So yeah.
Let's answer a couple of these quick ones. Like, do you have to connect a wallet or something to earn?
Yeah, so everybody already has a wallet, an embedded wallet in the dashboard. Make sure you go back that up if you want to use it. If you don't want to use that wallet, you can go add a different wallet on your DeEEP dashboard.
Yeah. Easy enough. I have an Arrow router and have trouble opening ports. Keep saying port in use. Will there be guidance for us? Is Arrow? I haven't heard of those.
Yeah, so I think Chris, one of our team members, has one. He figured out how to do it, so I'm gonna have him help put some screenshots together that we can send out.
That was a great look, Chris.
Yeah,
he's in the background. He's like, "Wait, what did I do?"
It is working. So we just got to go back through his app. We can take some screenshots of how that worked.
Cool. Do we have port forwarding or static IP address?
Yeah. So it'd be a great time to turn that on. We are choosing where to put workloads based on if you have port forwarding enabled on your boxes. Static IP addresses aren't strictly required, but if you have access to them, they're great, and we will be using those in the future. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. For any of these routers, basically what you've got to figure out is how to open up ports to your devices. You can do that over a demilitarized zone. So that's one option. You can do direct port forwarding, or you can turn on universal plug and play or NAT PMP, both of which allow the device to actively request ports to be opened on demand. So any of those kind of four options are ways to make your router capable of working with the full port capability of the DeEEP network.
Bob asks, when will the next batch of hardware DNFT be released? Really, this comes down to is expansion of the network. We've got partnerships that we've announced. We've got some announcements that we'll be pushing out here. Well, actually, really soon. I think they're doing a sale next week, and so one of those announcements is going to come through. And why I'm saying this is we're looking at workload expansion in the network itself to give us a reason to add more devices to the network. We have some pretty exciting things that we're pushing out that's going to really push our workloads to the next level. We have a whole bunch of workloads that we're going to be announcing too that are really just kind of sitting in the wings right now for these last little updates that we're working on the back end. So you'll start to see a whole lot more workloads being announced, more sales coming in for those workloads, which means your devices are going to be doing work and hopefully getting filled up, and then we expand it.
Yeah, so we've got, we hired in the last week and a half, we hired a dedicated workload engineer. So his whole job is just to build new workloads. So really excited about that. I think he's already made 3 in the last week and a half. So it's going, and we're. I see the question about taxes and imports and tariffs. This is like a big piece that we're trying to help figure out. Chris has actively been working on this, and I think we've got some good partnerships upcoming to help with that, and different geo regions, so that things won't be traversing, through the U.S. and going to Europe, or through Europe and going to the U.S. To help minimize those to the extent that we're able to.
Maybe. Bob asks, any updates with NAS partnerships? Yeah, I mean, you'll see some talk about NAS stuff next week for sure. So we'll have to do it. We'll do a whole new video on that, on what that means, because it's different. It hasn't really been done in the ecosystem, so it's kind of a cool concept that we're pushing out. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Stay tuned on that one. Yeah. So, I'd say the other pieces, we've been spending a lot of time working on our observability and how we're able to see everything that's going on the network. I'm hoping to be able to push more and more of that data out to you guys to be able to view it as well as that matures in the development world. So we've got a lot of metrics and dashboards and different things we've been working on that we get a view of how the network is operating and how healthy it is. Our goal is to make that more and more accessible external as well. So keep an eye out for that, probably closer to the end of the year. We made a map that we've been using internally where we can go and drag anywhere in the world and see where DeEEP operators are, and it's live, and we get it from the IP address of what that is. So we've been using that to help do some planning around geo regions for when we do geo clustering effectively of devices. So we're trying to minimize the crosstalk between different regions when we're doing metrics logging and data storage.
It's a cool map.
Yeah.
Manny almost dropped it to everybody on accident / on purpose.
Yeah, I think a few things we need to clean up on it before we can make it live. We just need to make sure we've got everybody's privacy in mind as we build those things out. So
yeah, for sure.
We don't want to dox anybody on their actual location. So we'll be adding some, fuzzing to the data so that you can see where people are approximately, but not where people are exactly, and some of that type of stuff. So we're always keeping your guys' data and privacy in mind with the things we're building. So,
which is good. I mean, I think in this day and age, a lot of people are concerned about that, even that normally used to not be concerned about that. So
yeah, and there's a lot of laws about all that these days that we have to pay attention to.
This is crypto. Laws don't matter, right? It's crime season. That's what I was told. Big circles on the map. Exactly. MDK. That's right. It's like, it's here in the United States of America.
Yeah, they'll be tighter than that, but they won't be like down to a street address type of thing. Yeah. It'll be like, what town are you in type of thing. Is where I think we'll end up with that.
Yeah. And I think, our updates over the summer really were kind of condensed. We did some AMAs. One, it was summertime. Two, a lot of everything was back end, like stuff that you guys don't see. And like Ben said, we have dashboards, we have things that we want to start to push forward so you guys can actually see what is happening. I've been around the space long enough to know that that's what you guys you're pining for. You need, and I get it. I've been there. So working hard to make sure that all the thousands of hours that these guys in the tech side have been putting in can be a little bit more transparent to you guys, so you see what the work is that's getting done. It's not just a hope and dream, and you have some paperweight sitting in your house, right, that you want to sell to somebody on eBay, which I know some of you guys are doing. But that's fine. When is TGE? It's going to be in the fall. I mean, that's what we've been saying the whole time. I know Rusty likes to say at the end of, before the end of the year, let's be real. Fall ends on December 21st. So,
so we've been working on it. I think the biggest piece that we've got some testing under our belt on it now. We're trying to finalize the last little bits before we do some audits. So we got some pieces there that are coming, and I think we're excited about. I think it's going to be one of the way we're building all the tokenomics and all that. I think it's going to be very transparent and all on chain, which is, I think, super exciting.
I completely agree. We live in this world of crypto and blockchain and what it can do when you're putting data there and being transparent about that. You don't see a lot of people actually utilizing it, right? So I'm excited for us to actually use it and show what we're actually doing. So I'll take this question, Crypto Kurt. TGE anytime soon. Just was curious. Also, any exchanges you are looking at? Glad to support. Been a while, about a year. Been running about a year. So I actually did a pretty decent sized post on this. I think it was last night actually. In reality, we are not, as the team or the DeEEP Network, going to be personally setting up any liquidity pools, right? We cannot facilitate those. We can show people how to do that, and there are some guidelines in the Clarity Act that allows us to work with different dexes and sexes to list the token and create liquidity and help them move in that direction. It's very it's not, I shouldn't say limited, but it's the actual rules behind it are very strict. So we have been reaching out to different both dexes and sexes to be able to list it in a manner that aligns with the Clarity Act. So again, everything that we're doing here, we want to make sure that we align with the rules and regulations that at least that are giving us guidelines to start with, and then as they become more solid, we'll change those as we go. So so yes, to answer your question, that's how we're operating in that side. So give us a hint at token price. Honestly, the market's going to decide token price, Miguel. We again cannot say what the token price would be. We don't even know. Like, we haven't got a clue of what we're going to do. We haven't even internally done a token price analysis, because by us setting a price on a token is illegal. We can't, right? You're fixing the price of something that's there. The network itself and how it operates and how you guys are buying and selling it over the market is going to dictate the price. Somebody can go in and set up a liquidity pool to start with, and they could set that price of the token at $100 per token. How many people are going to buy that? Probably not many. So you're going to see the market itself decide how that looks and where that goes in reality. So, Warp and Beam will appear to be coming up next month. Will DeEEP be ready to host these nodes? Yes, we're in direct communication with those teams to host those nodes. So we had literally just had a call with Warp this morning before this.
Yeah,
so,
the tech team.
Yep, the tech team. So.
Yeah, and Beam Roll we've been testing already. So yeah, we're excited about both of these. Yep.
There's good and bad with this, so yeah, it's free, but Hyperliquid is also, you're looking at it as it's a futures contract is what Hyperliquid really works like, right? So you're playing with fire. The token itself has utility within our network, and too much volatility within the token makes it weird on different ends, right? So when we're actually utilizing that token, so I'll have to look into it a little bit more to kind of see what that looks like too. But yeah. Yeah, we don't know. And honestly, it's not going to be the Clarity Act, or it's going to be some different changes to the Clarity Act, most likely, from what I'm reading right now. Yes, we have to wait for the government to open back up, but also there's some changes that they want to make to what the Clarity Act is looking like right now. From what I understand, it has mostly to do with some of the stuff that was pushed through with the Stablecoin Act that some of the government isn't happy with, and they want to kind of retroactively change that within this act. It's kind of funky, but it's how government works.
Yeah, most of this is happening in the Senate right now. It already passed the House. The Clarity Act did. So the Senate is it's in committee in the Senate, and the Senate is still in session right now, even with the government closed. The House is out of session at the moment, but but I don't know how busy the committee is right now. But yeah, but it would have to go back to the House for ratification when they merged the two bills before it went to the president's desk anyway. So it'll have to be. Well, who knows what the House ends up doing? But.
Who knows? Yeah. And you say it'd probably be good to have rules set in stone before TG. And yes, I mean, that's what we were pushing for. We've been waiting for. One of the things that they've shown support on all sides of it is that they want to have clear guidelines, and they put some clear guidelines in there, and they also want to have a path for people that have already been operating in the industry to then abide by those clear guidelines. And so in the Clarity Act, they gave people 18 months, right? So from it being put into law, you have 18 months to get your your token into Clarity Act compliance if that's what you want to do. So they've shown that they want to make it so people can do the right things, or at least what they believe is the right thing for Commodity Act, right? So
yeah, and we're not lawyers.
Yeah,
this is our opinion of reading all this stuff and from talking to our legal counsel. But
should we get a lawyer on here? Wait, need him to call me back anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you all for hosting. From Node projects are still paid in DeEEP token, correct? Yeah, everything that's ran on the DeEEP network is going to be paid in the DeEEP token. Yep. So you will have to, it's NerdNode and then other NASs or other workload providers that come to run on the DeEEP network. They have to utilize DeEEP to run that. So then the DeEEP owners get your percentage. Yep, you're going to get 50% of that workload that gets ran on that device. I did not see this. So Cynthia Loomis, she's out of Wyoming, I believe. I didn't see that. Well, it'll be interesting to see if they actually get some stuff moving again. So I did not hunt bears this time. I had a bear tag. I was hunting deer. So, yeah. When is Mainnet going live? So Studio Tech, you've asked. So kind of if you go back to the beginning of this, we really talked about all of our what we've been working on. And right now we've been doing a lot of stress testing on the devices, and Ben went into a lot more detail. So I'll go back to the beginning of this, and you'll kind of get an idea of that. So.
Yeah, so workloads running before TGE. We're working through the path for how to account for all that. Right now, the early plugin rewards before TGE are covering that. So everybody who's running today is getting plugin rewards that are on top of the plugin rewards you'll get down the road. So before TGE, all of that's covered by bonus plugin rewards effectively. And right now we've made the bonus plugin rewards super simple to get. As long as your box is plugged in that day, you get rewards. No port requirements or anything today. Once we hit TGE, all those port requirements will come on. So now's a good time to start putting that on. Cool. Yeah. And, I think there's a couple things we've got going on, as you guys are probably picking up on this conversation. We have a technical mainnet of like, okay, workloads are running on the DeEEP devices, and that's like production quality code that's running all of that. Then there's the actual TGE aspect of there's a token, it's out there tradable, and the earnings that you make on the DeEEP network come through that. There will also be a merger of those two down the road where everything can happen over smart contract, which probably isn't going to happen right at TGE. So I think at the beginning, right at TGE, what we'll be doing is similar to the way we're doing it in NerdNode right now. You pay with a credit card. We will be buying DeEEP off the network with those funds and using that to pay you guys, which should help create some movement in the token as well, which will be exciting. But then the goal is that all that, as we launch the DAO, moves into a smart contract managed by the DAO. And then when you're actually buying a workload online, whether you use a credit card or crypto, it'll all get converted instantly to DeEEP right then and there, and it won't flow through any of the NerdNode accounting systems, right? So we've kind of got three different pieces we're working on when we think about mainnet and going live and all that. And the first one is real production workloads running on the DeEEP network. That's like starting to happen. It has started to happen. And will continue over the next 2 weeks to basically get most things moved over. Then we'll have the TGE with the token. That's going to be by the end of the fall. And then after that, there'll be a couple months where we work on merging those two, and you come in, you use a credit card, use something like a MoonPay or something like that to automatically convert that probably into a stable token and then through a DeFi exchange to DeEEP, and then pays through the smart contract. And our goal is to make that all super smooth and seamless, so that it just feels like using your credit card or debit card or crypto. So there's kind of 3 different steps when we think about like full mainnet, if you will.
Yeah, and like it says there, everything we do, just like the devices you guys plugged in, how easy it was, everything that comes in and goes out, like we want it to be seamless. We want it to be seamless for the device owners. We want it to be seamless for the customers that are signing up for nodes. We want it to be seamless for the companies that are utilizing us to push their nodes to our network. Everything that we were trying to do, we're trying to make it as easy as possible, seamless as possible, look good, and actually do real work. So
yeah,
I think Jay Soto's question: how are we feeling about overall progress? I feel it's the powder keg concept in my head, like, because there's all these things that are kind of right there. They continually build, and they're about ready to ship. And as they ship, it's going to be one thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And it's just kind of maybe snowball effect is a little bit better of an analogy there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that probably most of you guys don't realize is we're on the 3rd iteration of the DeEEP Network. So we've built 3 different ways under the hood to run all this stuff, and we've scrapped 2 of them completely already because they didn't withstand the realities of running this. So I think we are in a great spot right now from a technical perspective. We've got an amazing team. The engineering team has gotten a lot bigger in the last 2 months. So basically about 2 months ago, we settled on this new path. We hired Lynn on about 4 to 6 months ago, somewhere in that time frame. So he and I kind of got all that finalized. And now we've hired a team under him to really build all of this to production grade. And it's working. And they're doing a great job. And we're continuing to grow that team. And it seems like every week we're adding a new engineer. And that has really changed our velocity and our trajectory. And we are very confident rolling into this deployment that we've got a winning scenario now. I think you guys are going to be blown away by the new stuff. We haven't set the firm launch date on a whole new rebrand. It won't be like branding of our logos or anything, but like a new NerdNode NAS website is coming here very shortly. Way more streamlined, gives you better information about what's going on. Will really make it so the customers feel like they're in control of their node, have great visibility into it. So we're really excited about that and the scale that that's going to give us. And it's going to let us add, we're hoping to do a workload or 2 a week as we roll moving forward here. And we've been hiring the staff to do that. So honestly, I feel like we're buckling into this roller coaster right now, and we've been slowly climbing that ramp, and we're about to crest it. So it's an exciting spot to be.
Definitely. We have a community fund. So your question here was: are you looking at creating a DeEEP treasury? And we have built into the tokenomics is the community fund. It essentially is a DeEEP treasury. So realistically. Any future marketing plans you can share? Like I kind of talked about this earlier, you'll start to see some stuff coming out next week. There's some partnership sales that are going on. Yes, you'll see some stuff coming up, Bob. When are we going to flip AWS?
Yesterday was the day.
Yesterday was the day. Yesterday was the day.
I think the reality that we all know is AWS isn't going away anytime soon. Our goal is to provide a better decentralized option, right? And I think it was pretty interesting yesterday. One of the pieces we found out was how many of the nodes that we already run use AWS to do a whole bunch of processing. So things were failing. like a myriad nodes, all the myriad nodes reported that they went down because the API they use to tell whether they're up or down is hosted on AWS.
Which is hilarious when you think about the idea. I mean, this is what everybody's talking about. It's Web3 is decentralized. It's not. I mean, this is what we've been talking about this whole time. This is why we're building what we're building. Is it's not decentralized. Even a lot of these companies that I talk with now have great ideas. They're building some cool products. They're still using AWS because they have to, because there's not a secure option in the Web3 ecosystem. So those are going to be some fun announcements as we get this deployed and we start bringing them on board as partnerships, because they're using tens of thousands of dollars a month in AWS storage and compute power because it's secure and they need that. So, I mean, those are just fun things that are out there, ready to kind of utilize what we're building.
Yeah. I've seen a couple comments about, like, there's a comment here about cold wallets, and there was one about MetaMask not working on the dashboard. Feel free to open some support tickets on our DeEEP Discord. Yeah. And we'd love to, if you got some screenshots of things not working, send them our way and we'll see if we can get that rectified for you, or show you how to import a wallet onto that. And then if you have ideas that we could use on different wallets or different storage methodologies, we'd love to hear them. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those things, and again, Jay Soto, asking that question there, it's like, those are things bring up in the Discord, talk to us about it, bring up a ticket. We'd love to hear those ideas of things that you have potential for us to build in, or reach out to people for partnerships. We are only so many people, and we can only reach out to so many people. And there's a lot of potential that's out there. So if you have connections there, or you have ideas that are there, bring it up. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, and on working with other networks, that's something we've been talking a lot about internally. I think right now we're really focused on making sure our own network is robust. We have some plans for some heavier workloads that I think we'll be implementing. Well, I know we're going to be implementing here in the next couple of weeks. But reality is that for everything except GPU and external GPU pieces, the DeEEP devices are pretty capable of doing. We'll probably be looking at adding support for bringing on additional SSD storage onto the boxes for people who want to be able to run multiple validators on one box. But in terms of fast validators and fast loading validators, one of our new engineers, that's what he spent the last week focused on, is how do we have hot and ready caches for validators that make them super fast to bring up and super fast to replicate, and failover happens pretty seamlessly. So we've been doing a lot of work on kind of fast validator failover and switchover. So yeah.
Nothing new you need to do. Fly high quality. Any important any things that you missed out, right? There's a lot. I would listen to this from the beginning, but you don't have to do anything yet, except maybe looking at opening up some ports.
Yeah, making sure ports are open on your router is probably a good thing to do now. We're starting to do checks on that. So over the next, I would bet, month, we'll probably start sending out some alert notices to people who don't have those open so that they can work on it. But right now I don't have the documentation to share with everybody of how to open up ports on all 5,000 different router types. So we'll probably look at some AI tools that maybe can help with some of that down the road. But yeah.
So, okay. Miguel asks, we're coming up on time. We got about 5 more minutes. But Miguel asked, ICP, which I'm assuming is Insane Clown Posse, and AWS are great competitors. What makes you different than AWS and ICP? Right? Is that not what ICP is? Insane Clown Posse. Am I old? Is that just me? I'm sorry.
So, I mean, from all these different cloud providers, our goal in the way we are really focused on being different is the decentralization, right? So we look at Web 1 and Web 2, and we think that Web 3 should be the merger of those two, right? So in Web 1, we had all these great ways to self-host in your own closet and build all of those pieces and own them locally, right? So you were in control of your own destiny. we've handed all of that over to AWS and other, Google and Microsoft and the like, so that when DNS, for instance, goes down on AWS, 50 to 75% of the internet just doesn't work. And that's insane, right? Like that is a level of centralization that, it probably costs a couple $2 billion of global market share yesterday, right?
Yeah.
At least, probably more.
Yeah, and in big companies that you're talking about, like you said, like the internet's down. Like these companies you think about, you're like, wait, what? Like, okay.
Yeah. And so our goal here is to provide a real tool that works and has similar levels of security and reliability to those tools, but it's distributed out so that one government, one entity can't shut it down and use a blockchain to be the source of truth for all that. So even we can't shut that down, right? And that's why we're going to spin this out into a DAC that will manage that. So there'll be a number of different people in charge of managing that blockchain and try to keep that from being, one government, one entity, one company can't say, oh, we don't like this, we're shutting it down. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
So interesting question. What metrics define success for you? Not just price. Well, and I think we're not interested in price. It goes into your next question, Miguel, of like, how will this project generate sustainable revenue beyond token sales? We don't generate revenue from token sales. Our revenue is already generated from paying customers for workloads through NerdNode itself. We're expanding the node as a service provider to multiple different NASs across the ecosystem. And with NerdNode, if you guys go look there now, there's more than what we started with. I think we started with like 4 different types of workloads. We want to have hundreds of workloads. And like we talked about through this podcast is we've built a team to be able to add, a lot of workloads in a very fast time frame. So again, those.
Yeah, we've got 3 right now that are in progress,
right,
or like that are in final testing, basically. So they'll be going live here in the next couple weeks.
100%. So I think metrics to define success for us is really the network itself running the way we want it to run in terms of on-chain, right? As we move more things on-chain, as we fill those devices up, I think is a big one for me internally of seeing these devices that you guys have plugged in. They're running, they're doing these workloads, and the earn potential is coming through to you guys. That's a huge success point in my eyes. And I know the whole team here, that's how we built it. That's why we built it. So there's lots of other things we could talk about. There's so many little things here and there, but for me, that's probably a couple of the big ones.
Yeah. I mean, I think big success metrics for me are that projects look at DeEEP Network as one of their first places to go when they want to build a Web3 node. And they're like, okay, the gold standard on how do people run this is DeEEP Network. Like that is one of the biggest success metrics I look at. And then like Nate was saying, we're trying to build this balance, a teeter-totter, if you will, where we keep the teeter-totter balance of workload demand and available computing capacity, right? And so I want that basically demand for workloads to always be slightly more weight on the teeter-totter, so that there's always an incentive for people to go buy more DeEEP devices and expand the network. And so that is one of our big jobs, is trying to like build the relationships, build the partnerships, build the engagement to build that level of demand. So that's how we're looking at success.
I think another thing for me is to blur the lines and not really be talking about Web 2, Web 3 projects like you kind of talked before too. Is really all we're talking about is people that are needing and wanting and interested to utilize our network because of how we built it and what we built.
Right.
Whether they are Web 3 or Web 2 doesn't matter to us. We just want to be able to offer a superior network for your workloads.
Yeah. Cool. There was one comment about if we had any jobs. We're always looking for great engineers, particularly if you have any experience with how to do operations of distributed networks and or have experience in building and running Web3 nodes or Web2 workloads. I'd say we'd also be interested in people who have experience with kind of B2B sales partnership arrangements.
Yeah.
And particularly if you've got good connections in the Web3 space and node developer, node projects, we'd love to chat with some folks who might have that.
All right, last question, and then we're going to wrap it up here. What's your biggest current risk, technical, regulatory, or market related? I think I'm always going to lean to the regulatory side, just because we've always been in this darkness of where we're at. We're in a really good spot, I believe, of like some clarity, for lack of a better term. But for me, because I've been around it a long time, it's regulatory is always for me the biggest risk that's there. But
yeah, and the technical, I think everything's solvable. It's a time versus money piece, right? So we've been intentional on not taking a bunch of money
or any.
Like we've sold devices. We capped the number of devices we sold. We did make some money, though not a lot of money, off those devices because we tried to keep them affordable. So most of the work that you've seen here has been made, like how we funded it is through profits from NerdNode. So actually running and selling workloads. And then Nate and Chris and I have put cash in to build the business. So we're trying to build that balance. But that is kind of one of the other pieces of how do we keep this a community focused project where we don't have investors that have malaligned interests with our community, right? That is one of the forefront pieces 100%. For all of us. And so I think it's a timeline risk. And, I think the big piece we'll be looking for support from the community is as we roll out a whole bunch of new workloads and all that, we're going to try and make great incentives for you guys to help us push all of these market pieces, right? And the lean on the community for, hey, you can go help fill up your box by telling your friends and family to run things.
Yeah. And on the market related, we developed the DeEEP Network really. Market will always affect stuff, but when we talk about revenue coming in, NerdNode, was born in the tip of the bull market in 2021, and did really well all the way through the bear market. People still run their nodes; they still pay for their Web3 workloads, and so that's all coming to the network as real world income. So that alone gives a very giant buffer to market conditions, and the fact that we're not relying upon the token price, nor the token ups and downs of how it's going to go through, or the token itself as what's really running the network, right? In terms of like cash to run the people and pay the people. So we've kind of built it in that way to be bear market, resilient. So
cool. Well, thank you everybody for your support. We know it's been a long road. We feel that. We're excited to be coming out of that tunnel, and look forward to your continued support and helping us make this the best Web3 network that we can.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.